Okay guys, bit of a story time. I've not done the story time before. I don't think I have, no. It's not driving related, so I do apologise. It's more of a personal story time. And it's a personal story time that involves my 11-year-old son. So a situation happened last Thursday and I had to take my mum to the walk-in centre at Erith because something happened during the day and I had to take her there and she had to get checked over, and we're waiting and then we get called into this doctor's room to see this doctor, have a chat, whatever. So she's sitting there chatting with him and then I can see him just like side-eyeing, like looking at Harry, and in the moment I didn't really think nothing of it. And then he turns to my Harry and he says, oh, like what do you play? Obviously he meant what sports do you play? And Harry went, oh, because I don't think Harry understood what he meant either, and Harry just said, oh, nothing. He went, oh, you don't play rugby? Now I know why he said that, because at first, why wouldn't the first thing be, oh, what sports do you play? Like, that's what the question would have been, right? What sports do you play? But straight away he's gone like straight to rugby. Now, as I said, I know why he said it, because my Harry's a stocky lad. He's a very stocky lad. He's broad and he's tall. He's about here on me. And Harry's gone, oh, no. And he went, oh. He went, you need to stop eating food. That's what he said to my 11-year-old son. You need to stop eating food. Now, Harry just done this like a little nervous laugh, didn't know how to act, didn't even know what to say, and neither did I. Words failed me in that moment. Everything failed me in that moment. Everything. I failed as a mum. I couldn't find the words. I didn't defend Harry in that moment. All I said was, oh, don't say that, he's lovely. They were the only words I managed to find in that moment, because I just could not believe that a doctor has just sat there and said to my, just took it upon himself just to say to my son, you need to stop eating food. Like, what? What the hell? So yeah, so we've left. We've left that appointment and we're on the way home, and my mum said to me, Jade, I can't believe it. I can't believe he said that. I can't believe he said that. And I'm like, I know. And then I've had to have a conversation with Harry and just basically said to him, look, don't listen to what he's just said. Don't listen to him. He's a fucking idiot, for one. I mean, I could have said other words. I think I did actually, but I can't really repeat that on here. Well, I probably could, but just bleep it out. But anyway, so I said, he's a fucking idiot. Don't listen to him. Like, you're perfect, you're lovely, just exactly how you are, and I don't want him to know what he's just said to you. I now don't want that to affect you, Harry, please. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. So I've had to have this whole conversation with Harry now that should never have happened in the first place. Should never have happened. And he was like, oh, okay. And then the next morning we've got ready and it's World Cup day at school, so it's obviously the start of World Cup now, and he's in his England shirt, whatever, and I was like, oh, let me get a picture, come down, let's get a picture. And he's like, oh, a bit hesitant, and I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, that's it, stand next to the car, and he's like, it's just like, and he's covering his belly with his arms, I can see what he's doing. And then he starts tugging at his top, and then he starts breathing in, and I'm like, no. I said, stop doing that, please, just be normal, be yourself. I said, there's nothing wrong with you. I said, come on, please. So he's like, oh, okay. And I was like, I didn't pressure him, I just left it at that. I was like, okay, right, you know, I've got my picture, we're done now. So we get in the car, drop him off to school, and I'm still sitting in there and I'm just thinking about it, just constantly. It's just running through my head. Everything about that day is just running through my head. And the more now I'm sitting on it and sitting on it and sitting on it, the more it's pissing me off. So I thought, I'm going back there. So I went back there the next day and I went up to the reception desk and I said to her, look, I need to make a complaint about one of your doctors. And she was like, oh, okay. She was like, like, what's wrong? And I basically explained it to her, and she was just like, oh my God. She went, no way. She went, are you joking? I went, no, no, no. No, I'm not joking. I was like, that is exactly what he said to my son. You need to stop eating food. And she was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. She's like, I cannot believe that. And I went, yeah. She was like, all right, bear with me. She went, I'll get you the form. So she got me a form, and I went and I wanted his name. So she wrote his name on the bit of paper, and I went, and is he working today? And she's looked and she's gone sort of like, and I went, is he working today? And she went, yeah. She went, yeah, he's working today. And I went, lovely. I said, I'll be back later, but I'll be bringing Harry with me. She was like, oh, okay. She was like, oh, she was, may I ask why you're bringing Harry? And I went, because he needs to apologise to my son. Like, he needs to apologise. And she went, okay. And I totally get that. She's going, I totally get that. And I'm fully with you on that. She went, but maybe come in first and have a chat with him, and then bring Harry in after, just in case there's any, like, you know, and like a bit of shouting or. And I was like, all right, no worries. So I've gone back there, and I'm walking in, and as I'm walking in, this geezer's sitting on the bench. As luck would have it, he's sitting there on the bench outside having his lunch, and I was like, oh, perfect timing, love that. So I've gone up to him and I was like, do you remember me from yesterday? And he's like looking at me, and you can see him trying to like think like, oh, do I know it? And he was like, no, I see so many faces. And I was like, well, okay, well, maybe I can refresh your memory. I said, maybe you'll remember her. And I pointed to my mum. I went, you see my mum yesterday evening? And he was like, oh, yeah. He went, is everything all right? I went, no, not really. I went, I want to have a chat with you about something that you done to my son yesterday. He went, okay. He went, yeah, come and sit down. So I sat down, and he was like, is everything all right? And I went, no. I went, when we was in that room with you yesterday, that we weren't there for us. I weren't there for me, and I weren't there for my son. I said, we was there for my mum. So please tell me why you felt the need to turn around and say to my son that he needs to stop eating food. He was like, no. Oh, I didn't mean it like that. And I was like, how else would you mean that? Please explain. How else would you mean that? You said to a child, you need to stop eating food. How else would you mean that? And he was like, no. He's like, I'm a doctor and we have our concerns. Right? And your point. Like, your concern in that moment, again, wasn't my son. We was there for my mum. He wasn't your concern. I said, so tell me why you felt the need to say that to my son. You've clearly sitting there looking him up and down and looking at him, and then you felt the need that those words come into your head, and you felt the need to say out loud to my son's face, and you done the actions as well. You need to stop eating food. That's what you did. And I went, do you know the damage that's done to my kid now? That he's now sitting there tugging at his top and he's breathing in when I'm trying to take a picture of him. Do you know how long that's now going to stay with him? Do you know the damage that's now going to do? Like, he's going to be worried about his body image. He's now going to start questioning, is he fat? Does he need to lose weight? But something an 11-year-old child should not carry. You've now done that to him. I can't take that back now. I can't erase that from his memory, and neither can you. You've done that now. That's it, done. I went, and you want to sit there and tell me that because you're a doctor, you've got your concerns? I said, listen, I said, even if I was a parent there to see you, and I've booked an appointment to see you specifically about my child's weight, then I feel like you're sort of entitled to have a bit of an opinion on that. But do not get it twisted that for a second, why that you should be sitting there telling a child to stop eating food. Because you think that because you're a doctor now, that you can say that. Is that what you're trying to tell me? And he was like, no, I weren't. I went, well, that's how it sounds. Is that because you're a doctor, you're allowed to say that? He was like, no, it wasn't meant like that. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Anyway, he just kept on fucking saying sorry. And said that he will learn from this, etc., going forward and all that. And I was like, I hope you do learn from this. Like, I really hope you do learn from this, is that whatever opinion you've got in your head about someone, you just don't share it. You don't say it out loud, especially to a child. I said, because I'll tell you for nothing, I went, you're in no position to be telling anyone that they need to stop eating food, let alone a child. Please. You're in no position. And then he starts saying, oh, you know, and then he then starts saying to me, oh, my son's autistic. And I'm like, one, what's that got to do with this situation? I'm sorry, that's got nothing to do with this situation. I said, but let me flip it for you then. So you're telling me that you've got an autistic son. All right. What if I turn around and said to your autistic son, he needs to stop being autistic? What if I said that to your son in front of you? Stop being autistic. I went, you just don't say it, do you? And I went, and you wouldn't appreciate it. And I went, and neither would your son. I went, he wouldn't think that's love, you know, that he wouldn't think that's nice either. So why are you now saying them words to my son? Like, words are damaging. They stay with you. Like, you can't take that back. And I went, and anyway, I went, you're quick to sit there and say about, oh, you need to stop eating food. I said, all because you're sizing him up. Yeah, you're looking him up and down. You're probably sitting there thinking, oh, like, he's a bit like stocky, you know. But you don't know his story. You don't know why he's like that. Look, I'd already explained to you that he had Perth's disease in the room when you asked me what sports he plays. I said, no, he don't play anything because he's got Perth's disease. And you went, oh. And then went, you need to stop eating. And then you went, you need to stop eating food. I went, he got diagnosed with Perth's disease at the age of 4. And then he got put into a wheelchair. He got told he had to go into a wheelchair because he got told that he weren't allowed to play football. He weren't allowed to run. He weren't allowed to jump. He weren't allowed to walk more than 100 yards. And then he had to be in a wheelchair. I went, he's only just been told that he's allowed to do sports. Just. I went, and he got diagnosed at 4. And I went, and you're now sitting there telling him he needs to stop eating food when you don't know what he's been through. And he was just like, again, sorry, and all that. And that was pissing me off even more. And then I said to him, you need to apologise to my son. That's why I'm here. You need to give my son an apology to his face. And listen, he did. He gave my son an apology. But I'm not willing to let it drop. Absolutely not. I'm not willing to let that drop. There's no way. So I've made a complaint. I've gone to see him. He's made, you know, he's obviously said sorry to Harry. I'm now doing this post, and I just want, the one thing I want from this is I want people to share. Because what the fuck? What the fuck? But these are meant to be the people that we go to for help, by the way. And then they're sitting here telling their kids they need to stop eating food. Nah. So if anything, that's what I want. I want this to be shared, because that, surely they don't get trained like that. I know for a fact that they don't. But you get these doctors that just think, oh, because they're doctors, they're allowed to say it. Nah. Abso-fucking-lutely not. Nah. So that's why I want this to be shared more than anything. Because, yeah, as I said, what the hell? What the hell? Absolute madness. So, yeah, that happened to my poor Harry, bless him. And I'll put a post of Harry. I'll put a picture on here of Harry, actually, with this, so you can all see how beautiful he is. But yeah, as I said, I've had to keep on top of it, just checking in with him, just making sure that he's all right. And again, just explaining to him that there is just some really shitty people out there, and that unfortunately we're going to get shit off people sometimes, you know, like we're going to have people say things that we can't control, unfortunately, but we just need to just try not to let it affect us. That's what we need to try and do. Do not let it affect you. There's nothing wrong with you. Keep telling yourself that as well. And I said to him, I want you to look in that mirror every day, and I want you to tell yourself, say the things out loud, everything that's good about you that you see. Say it out loud, because there's no way I'm having my child sit there now tugging at his top, breathing in and thinking that there's something wrong with him. There's no way I'm having that. So you know, I've had people rally around Harry already, telling him how handsome he is, obviously, because he is. So I do thank you for that. But yeah, I will post a picture of Harry so you can all see. But yeah, listen, that's our story time, so enjoy that. But yeah, more than anything, if I can, is just if everyone could share. So thank you very much.